Hello friends. What happens when a regal, fire-hearted Leo man locks eyes with a grounded, sensual Taurus woman across a crowded room? You might think sparks would fly, and you'd be right, but not just in the way you expect. This is a tale of contrast and connection, of tension and temptation, of a love that dances between friction and firelight. Welcome to the passionate, complicated, and surprisingly enduring love story between Leo and Taurus. Let's unpack their unique chemistry, emotional blueprint, how they fight, love, and grow, or sometimes break apart. Chemistry. Initial attraction. From the very first glance, there's an undeniable energy that surrounds a Leo man and a Taurus woman. It's not just a fleeting interest or a passing flirtation, it's magnetic, primal, and emotionally charged. Leo bursts into her world like a living flame, radiating warmth, dominance, and vitality. He doesn't merely walk into a room, he claims it. Heads turn, conversations pause. His presence is bold, and it pulses with a natural leadership and charisma that's almost theatrical. He speaks with conviction, laughs with his whole chest, and acts as if the universe orbits around him, which, in many ways, it often does. The Taurus woman, by contrast, is the stillness in the center of the storm. She is graceful without trying, alluring without effort. She enters with quiet confidence, grounded in her own value. While others may clamor for attention, she attracts it simply by existing in her feminine power. She doesn't need the spotlight, it gently finds her. There's a natural sensuality to the way she moves, speaks, and carries herself. It's not loud, it's not fast, it's felt. It's in her eyes, her voice, her silence. To Leo, who lives for intensity, this quiet force is immediately intoxicating. At first, their connection might feel like a scene from a classic black and white film. He's all flash and fire. She's composed, poised, almost untouchable. And that's where the intrigue begins. Leo is used to admiration. He's used to people melting under the heat of his gaze. But Taurus? She doesn't melt. She holds her ground. She sees through the performance and waits for the man behind the curtain. That, in itself, drives Leo wild. To him, she becomes not just a woman of interest, but a woman of mystery. And Leo, ruled by the sun, is naturally attracted to things that don't instantly reveal themselves. She's a riddle he wants to solve, a prize he wants to earn. But he'll soon learn, Taurus doesn't give herself to someone who merely wants her. She needs to trust them. She needs to feel safe, understood, and respected. What's fascinating is that this challenge doesn't repel Leo, it activates him. He starts peacocking more. Louder jokes, grander gestures, deeper eye contact. He wants her to see him, not just notice him. And Taurus, despite her calm exterior, begins to feel the stirrings of curiosity. Who is this man who glows with such confidence? Who claims space without apology? Is he arrogant, or is he simply sure of who he is? Their polarities feed each other. Leo is fire, Taurus is earth. He brings heat and movement, she brings structure and stillness. Their energies don't clash, they press against one another, generating tension, attraction, and unspoken promises. It's the kind of chemistry that brews slowly but intensely, the kind that hums under the surface until it can't be ignored anymore. But Taurus is cautious. She watches, she listens, she notices how he treats others, whether his confidence crosses into ego, whether his warmth is genuine or performative. And Leo, to his credit, often surprises her. Because under all that bravado is a heart that beats with loyalty, generosity, and a genuine desire to protect those he cares about. She begins to see that he's not just a fire, he's a hearth. He can be warmth, not just spectacle. Still, their path is far from smooth. Taurus likes to take her time. She builds slowly, brick by brick. Leo, on the other hand, wants the fireworks now. He lives in the present and expresses affection quickly and fully. This difference in pacing can create friction. He might feel like she's withholding. She might feel like he's rushing. But beneath the mismatch of speed lies a shared desire for realness. Neither of them plays games. When they love hard. That mutual sincerity is what keeps them orbiting each other. One of the most electric aspects of their early connection is how they challenge each other without even realizing it. Leo makes Taurus reconsider whether stability has to come at the cost of passion. Taurus makes Leo question whether passion has to come at the cost of peace. They begin to imagine lives that blend both. A love that's steady and fiery. A relationship that's both grounding and inspiring. And let's talk about the physical tension. It's almost cinematic. The eye contact between them is charged. The silences are loaded. Every accidental brush of skin feels like a secret whispered between souls. There's a slowness to it, a delicious delay that builds anticipation. It's not just attraction, it's a simmer. And when it finally bubbles over, it does so with intensity and depth. What makes this connection so unique is that it's rooted in both contrast and complement. They are different in how they approach life, but their differences create a balance neither of them knew they needed. Leo's impulsiveness is softened by Taurus's steadiness. Taurus's cautious nature is sparked alive by Leo's daring heart. They feel like opposites, but they click like puzzle pieces. And yet, despite all this chemistry, one truth remains. This isn't the kind of connection that guarantees easy love. It guarantees powerful love, but only if both are willing to do the work. Their attraction is just the beginning. It's the invitation, not the destination. So, yes, sparks fly. Absolutely. But whether those sparks become a bonfire of lasting love or a wildfire of short-lived passion depends on what they do next. Will Taurus trust enough to open her guarded heart? Will Leo have the patience to wait while she does? Will they move beyond the surface to find the soul beneath the spark? Because the truth is, the attraction between a Leo man and a Taurus woman isn't just physical. It's energetic, emotional, spiritual. It's the kind of pull that makes you wonder, was this random, or written in the stars? Emotional dynamics. Now here's where it gets fascinating, because this is where love either deepens or dissolves. The emotional dynamics between a Leo man and a Taurus woman are not just complex. They're a layered study in contrast, patience, and transformation. Their emotional rhythms come from two entirely different instruments. One plays in brass, loud and luminous. The other hums in cello tones, deep and deliberate. Yet together, they can make a powerful kind of music, if they learn how to listen. The Leo man is ruled by the sun, and that tells you everything about his emotional world. His feelings are vibrant, generous, and hard to miss. He doesn't do quiet love. When he loves, he declares it. He shouts it from rooftops. He turns ordinary Tuesdays into grand gestures. He's emotionally transparent, almost childlike in his need to be seen and celebrated by the one he adores. For him, love isn't love unless it's felt, known, named, and returned with fire. He wants devotion, not just as a feeling, but as a performance. Not because he's shallow, but because he thrives when his inner light is reflected back at him. On the flip side, the Taurus woman is ruled by Venus, the goddess of love, but her interpretation of love is quieter, slower, more sensuous than expressive. Her emotional world isn't broadcasted, it's built, one brick at a time. She shows love by staying, by doing, by being present. Her affection is in the cup of coffee she makes in the morning, in the subtle check-ins, in the steady warmth of a shoulder rub after a long day. She doesn't say, "I love you," constantly, but she'll make you feel it in every corner of your life. Emotional security is her love language. This is where things can get a little rocky. Leo, with his radiant heart, can sometimes feel like he's loving for two. He gives, and when Taurus doesn't respond with the same fire, he might begin to wonder, does she even feel the same way? He craves verbal affection, flattery, and affirmation. Without it, his mind can spiral into doubt, not because he's needy, but because his entire identity is built around being appreciated. He's not just offering love, he's offering the essence of who he is. And when that goes unnoticed, it hurts. Meanwhile, Taurus might feel overwhelmed by his emotional demands. She's not trying to be cold, she's trying to be consistent. In her mind, love isn't something that should need constant confirmation. It should be known. She might interpret Leo's expressive style as insecurity or attention-seeking. She might quietly retreat when the emotional spotlight feels too intense. For her, the performance of love can sometimes distract from its substance. If Leo needs constant applause, she wonders, is he really secure in what they have? But here's the beauty. Emotional mismatch is not emotional incompatibility. It's just an invitation, for both, to grow. When Leo leans into Taurus's world, he begins to see the beauty of still love. He notices that her love isn't cold, it's calm. It's in the way she remembers his routines, how she worries when he skips lunch, how she never lets him leave the house without a kiss goodbye. Her loyalty is silent but absolute, and once he stops craving noise, he starts hearing the steady beat of her heart behind every action. Likewise, Taurus begins to recognize that Leo's need for affection isn't vanity, it's vulnerability. He doesn't just want to be adored. He wants to be seen, truly and deeply. His loudness is not manipulation, it's honesty. When he declares love, he means it. When he demands attention, it's because his love burns so brightly that it aches to be shared. She begins to appreciate his boldness, even if she doesn't always echo it. Over time, they begin to shift. Taurus learns to give more verbal affection. Maybe not all the time, but enough to show that she notices him, appreciates him, treasures him. A well-timed compliment, a public acknowledgement, a spontaneous "I love you" can mean the world to him. And Leo, in return, learns to sit in the silence with her. To hold her hand without needing applause. To see her love not as hidden, but as seasoned, slow, rich, real. Their emotional styles begin to dance, rather than collide. She grounds him when his emotions flare too brightly. He inspires her when her emotional world becomes too muted. He gives her color, she gives him structure. It's emotional alchemy. Of course, the challenges never fully disappear. There will be times when Leo feels starved for attention, or when Taurus feels emotionally bulldozed. But the more they communicate with openness and curiosity, the more they learn that their emotional differences aren't obstacles, they're opportunities. Leo helps Taurus take emotional risks. Taurus helps Leo feel emotionally safe. Together, they create a relationship that contains both warmth and weight. A relationship that's expressive without being performative, and stable without being stagnant. At their best, they become emotional mirrors, reflecting the parts of each other that needed to be seen, healed, and celebrated. Leo learns that love can be quiet and still be powerful. Taurus learns that love can be loud and still be sincere. And somewhere in the middle of all that learning, something beautiful happens. They meet. Not just in romance, but in emotional resonance. And that's where the real story begins. Long-term compatibility. Can Leo and Taurus go the distance? Can fire and earth not only coexist, but thrive together for years, decades, maybe even a lifetime? That question isn't answered in their chemistry, nor in their honeymoon phase. It lives in the small, relentless moments that build over time, the arguments, the habits, the growth, the stillness between the chaos. And the truth is, the answer lies in one word: compromise. Now, this isn't just any relationship between two people who differ in personality. This is a union between two fixed signs. In astrology, fixed signs are the anchors of the zodiac. They're dependable, loyal, deeply committed, but also notoriously stubborn. Leo, ruled by the sun, radiates confidence and pride. His identity is tightly wrapped in dignity, strength, and a need to be respected. He will not be disrespected, diminished, or disregarded, ever. Taurus, ruled by Venus, is equally proud, but in a quieter way. Her willpower is unshakable. She doesn't raise her voice, she plants her feet. Once she decides something, moving her is like asking a mountain to dance. Put these two in a long-term relationship, and you've got two immovable forces trying to build a life together. It's beautiful, and also, it's explosive. Every decision becomes a test of patience and pride. From what movie to watch on a Friday night to whether they're ready to buy a home or have children, each step forward is also a delicate negotiation of values. Who gives in? Who leads? Who lets go of being right for the sake of being together? The challenge is, both Leo and Taurus think they know best. And in their own ways, they do. Leo leads with vision. He sees the big picture. He wants to elevate, expand, create a life that feels vibrant and grand. Taurus leads with practicality. She sees the steps that need to be taken. She wants to secure, protect, and build a life that feels safe and grounded. They both want the best, but they have radically different blueprints for what best looks like. When they clash, it's not quick and loud, it's slow and silent, like tectonic plates grinding beneath the surface. Resentment can build quietly if issues aren't addressed. Leo may withdraw emotionally if he feels unappreciated or criticized. Taurus may become even more immovable if she feels rushed, dismissed, or emotionally overwhelmed. Neither likes to be wrong. Neither likes to yield, and so they can end up in silent standoffs that stretch from hours to days. But, and this is a big but, the same thing that causes these issues can also save the relationship: their fixed loyalty. Once these two truly invest in each other, they don't walk away easily. They stick, they hold on, they fight for the bond, not just through the good times, but through the storms that test the very foundation of what they've built. Taurus is looking for emotional security, physical comfort, and lifelong stability. She wants to know she's safe, emotionally and financially. She needs someone who doesn't just talk about commitment, but embodies it. Leo, on the other hand, is looking for unwavering loyalty, emotional affirmation, and a partner who sees his heart, even when his ego gets in the way. He needs someone who believes in him, not just when he's winning, but when he's doubting. If these two can meet each other's emotional needs consistently, if Taurus can provide steady, grounding love while offering Leo the praise and support he thrives on, and if Leo can learn to honor Taurus's need for calm, order, and loyalty without constantly needing the spotlight, the relationship becomes a fortress. Solid, passionate, unbreakable. The journey to long-term compatibility won't be passive. It requires active effort. Leo must learn that not every disagreement is a challenge to his authority. Sometimes, Taurus resists not out of disrespect, but out of a desire to maintain peace and structure. And Taurus must learn that Leo's flair for the dramatic isn't immaturity, it's emotional transparency. He feels deeply. He needs to be seen, not just heard. They will need to master the art of timing. Leo likes to move fast, emotionally and energetically. Taurus likes to move slow, steadily, and with purpose. This can cause major friction unless they learn how to align their rhythms. Leo will need to slow down. Taurus will need to speed up. And both will need to trust the pace of each other's heartbeats. Financial values may also come into play in a long-term setting. Taurus is practical with money. She values savings, investments, and planning for the future. Leo is generous, sometimes extravagant, and may prioritize experiences or status symbols over financial security. Together, they'll need to have honest conversations about budgeting, spending habits, and shared financial goals. If not addressed, these differences can become a major wedge over time. Parenting styles, if they choose to have children, will also reflect their personalities. Leo will want to inspire, motivate, and be the admired, fun parent. Taurus will want to nurture, stabilize, and create a consistent environment. Their different approaches can balance beautifully if they communicate, but if they fall into competition or criticism, it could divide their parenting dynamic instead of strengthening it. The physical intimacy in the long term will likely remain strong. Both Leo and Taurus are deeply sensual and affectionate. Their bond, once established, can become a sanctuary of touch, warmth, and mutual desire. But again, communication will be key. If either partner begins to feel emotionally disconnected, physical intimacy may decline. Regular check-ins, emotional honesty, and a continued effort to keep the spark alive will be essential. Ultimately, what makes Leo and Taurus capable of going the distance is not their similarities, it's their shared devotion. They may express love differently, argue differently, and dream differently, but they both love fully. Once committed, they both treat love as something sacred. That reverence for the relationship is the glue that holds them together when everything else seems to be pulling them apart. Will it be effortless? Absolutely not. But will it be worth it? If both are willing to grow, shift, and meet in the middle, then yes. It can be one of the most powerful, loyal, and enduring bonds in the zodiac. Leo and Taurus are the kind of couple who might drive each other crazy, but will still be holding hands 30 years later, shaking their heads, smiling at the history they've built together. Because for them, love isn't just a feeling, it's a choice. Made again and again, in quiet kitchens, during loud arguments, and under the glow of countless shared sunsets. Communication conflict resolution. Now let's talk about how these two actually talk, because it's one thing to feel deeply for each other, but another thing entirely to navigate misunderstandings, disagreements, and the inevitable bumps in the road that every couple faces. And when it comes to Leo and Taurus, their communication styles aren't just different, they're practically in opposite universes. One talks to process, the other processes in silence. One confronts, the other avoids. And when tension arises, it's less a simple disagreement and more a study in emotional weather patterns, sun versus stone, fire versus earth, thunder versus stillness. The Leo man is expressive by nature. Communication for him isn't just functional. It's a performance, a declaration, a chance to connect and be heard. He wants his thoughts out in the open, ideally with dramatic flair. He speaks in paragraphs, not sentences. He argues passionately and forgives with equal intensity. For him, conflict is a temporary storm followed by a rainbow. He doesn't like grudges, he likes resolution. But he wants resolution with full emotion, full clarity, and full mutual recognition. The Taurus woman, by contrast, is not here for the drama. She is not afraid of conflict, but she certainly doesn't welcome it. Her first instinct in tense moments is to stabilize the environment, not inflame it. She'll often go quiet before she goes loud, turning inward rather than outward. When something upsets her, she may retreat into a shell of silence, where she processes slowly and privately. Her emotional reactions are often internal. When pushed too hard, she doesn't explode, she shuts down. She becomes cold, still, and stubborn, holding her ground like the solid earth she's made of. This dynamic can become a communication minefield. Leo, driven by the need to talk it out, may misinterpret her silence as apathy or even emotional punishment. He might feel like he's talking into a void, which only triggers his need to raise the emotional volume. He wants sparks, reactions, energy, something to confirm that they're engaging in the problem, not avoiding it. Meanwhile, Taurus sees his intensity as destabilizing. The louder he gets, the more she retreats. The more she retreats, the louder he gets. It's a feedback loop of frustration, with both feeling misunderstood and emotionally unsafe. Their fights often feel like two completely different battles being waged with two entirely different strategies. Leo may be charging forward with open confrontation, waving flags and demanding emotional accountability, while Taurus is quietly digging in, building emotional bunkers, waiting for the storm to pass. It can feel like a deadlock, with no common language, no shared rhythm. But here's the truth. This mismatch is not fatal. It's just untamed. With understanding, awareness, and a willingness to adapt, this couple can create a communication pattern that's not only functional, but deeply healing for both. The key begins with timing. Leo must learn that not every emotional moment is meant to be tackled right now. Taurus needs time to process. She doesn't shut down because she doesn't care. She shuts down because she's protecting herself from saying something she can't take back. Her silence is not a rejection, it's a buffer. If Leo can respect that space, and give her a window to gather her thoughts, she will come back to the conversation, on her terms, in her time, and with depth that surprises him. Meanwhile, Taurus must learn that silence can be cruel if it stretches too long. Leo's need to resolve things is not about ego, it's about connection. He doesn't want to sleep angry. He doesn't want to wake up in a cold room. He needs words, even if they're imperfect. If she waits too long, resentment grows, not just for him, but in her own heart. She needs to learn how to speak up sooner, even if it's just to say, I need some time, but I want to work through this. And then there's the matter of tone. Leo's passion can sometimes tip into volume, which Taurus finds abrasive and overwhelming. He needs to learn to modulate, to bring the same intensity, but with less fire and more warmth. She hears better when he speaks with calm conviction, not when he roars. At the same time, Taurus can appear emotionally indifferent, which hurts Leo more than she realizes. She must learn to express not just her thoughts, but her feelings, to let him see that she's not just thinking through the moment, but feeling it with him. Over time, they can establish rituals that help them communicate more effectively. Maybe it's a cooling off period after arguments, followed by a designated time to talk. Maybe it's agreeing to speak in I statements instead of accusations. Maybe it's learning to physically sit beside each other, not across, when navigating conflict, symbolically on the same side. These small adjustments make a world of difference. And let's not forget the power of non-verbal communication. Taurus is particularly strong in this realm. A hand on his shoulder, a home-cooked meal after a rough night. These are her apologies, her reassurances, her peace offerings. Leo learns to read these gestures, to understand that love isn't always in words, it's also in presence. In return, Leo teaches Taurus the value of speaking from the heart, even when it's scary. He encourages her to be bold in emotional truth, and she slowly learns that vulnerability doesn't mean instability, it means intimacy. Through each misunderstanding, they have a choice: dig deeper into their default patterns, or rise into new ways of relating. The couples who make it long-term don't communicate perfectly, they communicate intentionally. They show up, they learn the language of the other, even when it's foreign. And Leo and Taurus, they're capable of doing just that. Because underneath their stubbornness lies immense loyalty. Underneath their clashes lie two hearts that just want to feel safe, seen, and loved. And when they find their shared language, a mix of expressive warmth and grounded presence, they create a kind of communication that doesn't just solve problems. It builds trust, it builds history, it builds home. So no, their communication style isn't naturally easy. But when nurtured, it's honest, it's real, and it lasts. Physical intimate connection. Now let's dive into the part where Leo and Taurus often really connect, the bedroom. In this domain, their differences don't divide them, they deepen the connection. Where emotional communication might be strained and verbal conflict may push them apart, physical intimacy pulls them back together with a force that's nearly gravitational. This is the sacred space where the fire of Leo and the earthiness of Taurus don't just coexist, they ignite something unforgettable. Taurus, ruled by Venus, brings an old-world sensuality to intimacy. She doesn't rush, she doesn't see physical connection as just a physical act, it's emotional, spiritual, ritualistic. Her sensuality is multi-layered. She's about texture, taste, scent, warmth. She needs ambiance, mood, and the feeling of complete presence. For her, physical intimacy is the ultimate form of trust. It's not casual, it's not mechanical, it's an offering, a surrender, a gift. Her touch is intentional, her patience is seductive. She knows that pleasure lives in the slow burn, not in the quick spark. And she brings that energy into every shared moment. Leo, ruled by the sun, brings passion, heat, and an almost theatrical intensity to intimacy. He doesn't just want to connect, he wants to dazzle, to impress, to leave his mark. He wants his partner to feel adored, desired, worshipped even. He wants to be unforgettable. And in the bedroom, he often is. He brings creativity, playfulness, and emotional expressiveness that lights up the experience. He craves admiration not just in words, but in moans, in eye contact, in the rhythm of bodies syncing in perfect harmony. His ego isn't just hungry, it's generous. When he gives everything. When Taurus and Leo come together physically, something remarkable happens. The push and pull of their emotional tension dissolves into deep, primal understanding. They might not always agree outside the bedroom, but here, their bodies agree with effortless clarity. This is where the wall of pride and silence drops. This is where they see and feel each other without pretense or defense. Their connection is often slow to build in the beginning. Taurus doesn't rush into intimacy. It has to feel right, grounded, real. She needs to trust Leo before she fully opens herself. And Leo, though fiery and passionate, respects this slowness, especially if he's emotionally invested. He's willing to wait for that door to open, knowing that when it does, he won't just be welcomed, he'll be invited. And once that happens, their chemistry is volcanic. Controlled on the surface, explosive underneath. Taurus offers Leo something he secretly craves: grounding. She roots him, centers him, reminds him that intimacy isn't about performance, it's about presence. And Leo offers Taurus something she deeply desires: affirmation. He awakens the part of her that longs to be seen, admired, and deeply desired. Together, they blend stillness with heat, pleasure with praise, comfort with spontaneity. Leo uses physical touch as a way to express what words sometimes fail to capture. When he feels misunderstood or emotionally off balance, he reaches out, not just for pleasure, but for connection. A kiss, a lingering touch, a playful embrace, these are his ways of saying, "I still love you," even when the air between them is heavy. Taurus, on the other hand, uses physical intimacy to deepen emotional bonds. For her, it's not just about closeness, it's about emotional safety. She opens her body only when she feels her heart is held. And when she gives herself, she gives with a sensual fullness that makes Leo feel like the only person in the universe. In long-term relationships, this physical compatibility becomes one of the strongest pillars holding the connection together. When arguments arise or life gets hard, they may struggle to speak the same emotional language, but when they touch, they remember. They remember the softness beneath the stubbornness, the desire beneath the silence, the love beneath the pride. Even their differences enhance the experience. Leo's spontaneity keeps things exciting. He's willing to experiment, to explore, to bring adventure into the bedroom. Taurus's depth and consistency provide an emotional grounding that turns intimacy into a sacred ritual. She makes the moment feel safe. He makes it feel unforgettable. Over time, they begin to anticipate each other's needs. Leo learns that slow can be more powerful than fast. Taurus learns that passion can be as healing as it is exhilarating. They create rhythms together, patterns that become second nature, eye contact that lingers just a little longer, a certain touch that says, "I know what you need." The bedroom becomes a language of its own, a language in which they are fluent. When both partners are emotionally healthy and present, their physical relationship becomes a haven. A refuge. It's where they return to when life feels overwhelming or when misunderstandings build walls between them. It's the place where those walls fall. It's where they remember the reasons they fell for each other in the first place: his warmth, her softness, his intensity, her depth. Intimacy between Leo and Taurus is not casual, and it's not forgettable. It's epic, it's sensual, it's transformative, and when nurtured with trust, respect, and emotional availability, it becomes one of the deepest expressions of love they can offer each other. It's not just about sex. It's about emotional restoration. It's about healing. It's about two people learning to speak through skin and breath and heartbeat what their mouths sometimes can't say. It's where their fire and earth don't clash, but fuse. Where Leo's desire to shine meets Taurus's desire to feel. And together, they create not just physical pleasure, but intimate poetry. Because in the end, it's in the bedroom where their most unspoken truths are finally allowed to breathe. Where pride and silence dissolve into passion and presence. And where two very different lovers find, again and again, the quiet magic of understanding, without needing to say a word. Shared values, life goals. Leo dreams big, not just own a house with a white picket fence, big, empire building, legacy shaping, fireworks in the sky kind of big. He wants a life that feels larger than life. Whether it's building a career that makes him a respected name, creating a family that beams with loyalty and pride, or simply crafting a life full of unforgettable experiences, Leo doesn't just want to succeed, he wants to shine. His values revolve around honor, loyalty, self-expression, and recognition. He wants to be seen for who he truly is, and celebrated for it. Taurus dreams differently. She's not chasing the applause or the headlines. Her ambitions are quieter, but no less significant. She wants a life that feels safe. Predictable, yes, but rich in depth, peace, and beauty. Her vision of success might include a beautiful home filled with music, delicious meals, meaningful routines, and the kind of security that only comes from consistency. She values hard work, loyalty, financial stability, and a love that's proven through time, not just grand gestures. Her world is one of roots, not rockets. At first glance, these two perspectives seem like they're playing entirely different games. Leo wants the spotlight, Taurus wants the hearth. He's thinking 5 years ahead, planning bold moves and daring transitions. She's focused on what will last, what will endure, what feels sustainable. Leo is a visionary, Taurus is a builder. He imagines the castle, she lays the bricks. And this is where their values might clash, especially early in a relationship. Leo might feel like Taurus is holding him back. Why doesn't she share his urgency? Why does she seem so cautious when opportunity knocks? Taurus, in turn, may feel like Leo's constantly chasing the next shiny thing. Why can't he just be here, now, appreciating what they've already built instead of always reaching for more? She may fear instability. He may fear stagnation. But here's where things get nuanced. When these two choose to understand one another, magic happens. Because despite their differences, Leo and Taurus are bound by something deeper: loyalty. Both of them want a relationship that lasts. They just see different roads to get there. Leo sees ambition as the path to a secure future. Taurus sees stability as the soil in which love can grow. Both want to protect what they love. Both value commitment and devotion. They just express it differently. Leo brings drive, energy, and fearless optimism into the shared vision. He pushes them forward, refusing to let the relationship get stuck in a loop of monotony. He brings adventure, bold ideas, and the belief that they can have more, be more. He dares to dream not just for himself, but for the partnership. And Taurus brings the blueprint. She organizes, structures, and builds a foundation under Leo's castle in the sky. She reminds him of what matters long-term: savings, health, emotional steadiness, daily rituals that nurture connection. Together, they can create something powerful. A life that balances passion with peace, movement with grounding. She grounds him when he starts burning too fast. He lifts her when her world feels too small. In the best-case scenario, he inspires her to stretch beyond her comfort zone, and she reminds him of the beauty of what they already have. They complement each other like morning and sunrise. One sets the rhythm, the other brings the light. But it doesn't happen automatically. It takes effort. Leo must learn to respect Taurus's love for order and routine. He has to understand that her need for control isn't about dominance, it's about security. That when she pushes back on a sudden career change or questions a risky financial move, she's not doubting him, she's protecting them. He has to show her that her fears matter, and that he's willing to build with her, not just dream without her. Likewise, Taurus must allow Leo the freedom to dream big. She must resist the urge to anchor him when he needs to soar. She can't shrink his light in the name of practicality. She has to learn to trust that his risk-taking isn't recklessness, it's a leap of faith in something better. If she tries to cage his fire, he'll resent her. But if she fans the flame while helping him stay grounded, he'll see her as his most valuable ally. They'll need to have honest, sometimes uncomfortable conversations about priorities. Taurus may want to buy a home and settle down. Leo may still be chasing a promotion or launching a business. Their timing may not always align. But if their values align, if they both want a future that includes love, loyalty, growth, and shared success, they can navigate those tensions. Children, if part of their vision, may be another point of reflection. Leo will want to raise confident, expressive kids who follow their dreams. Taurus will want to raise secure, kind, grounded children who know the value of responsibility. Both are loving, devoted, and fiercely protective, but they'll need to collaborate on how to balance freedom and structure, expression and discipline. Even in retirement planning, their approaches might differ. Leo may dream of traveling the world, living large, going out with a bang. Taurus may want a cozy cottage, a quiet garden, and long, slow days of peace. Again, different, but not incompatible. The key is alignment, not sameness. The truth is, their life goals don't have to match perfectly. They don't have to walk in step at every stage, but they do need to walk in the same direction. They need to believe in the same kind of love. They need to want the same kind of future, one built on trust, consistency, passion, and a shared desire to grow together. When Leo and Taurus truly sync their values, they become a team that's not just compatible, but formidable. He brings the vision, she builds the reality, he breathes fire into the future, she holds space for the now, and together, they create a life that's both extraordinary and deeply rooted, a love that's not just dreamt of, but actually lived. Final thoughts. So what's the real story behind a Leo man and a Taurus woman in love? The truth isn't found in glossy romance novels or simplistic zodiac memes. This connection is not about instant harmony or effortless compatibility. It's not a fairy tale written in soft hues and perfect timing, nor is it a cautionary tale of astrological doom. The real story, the authentic, nuanced, and deeply human one, is far more powerful. It's a love story made of tension, transformation, and tenacity. A dance between fire and earth, ego and endurance, dreams and devotion. Leo, ruled by the sun, is a lover of life, bold, brilliant, generous, and emotional. He craves admiration, visibility, and loyalty. He falls in love with the idea of being loved grandly. He gives from a full heart, but expects that heart to be held with care, and perhaps, just a little awe. He wants to inspire and be inspired. He thrives in love that feels like a stage and a sanctuary at once. But beneath his fire, there's a vulnerability, a longing to be truly seen, not just applauded. Taurus, ruled by Venus, is a lover of the tangible, the steady, the sacred rhythms of everyday connection. She is sensual and grounded, nurturing and unwavering. Her love is not broadcasted, it's built, nurtured through action and presence. She believes in loyalty that endures, in comfort that soothes, in consistency that heals. Her affection lives in the quiet rituals, the shared meals, the warm bed, the touch that lingers long after words have faded. Her world is slow, deliberate, and deeply intentional. Together, Leo and Taurus represent two drastically different approaches to love, but also two hearts with one common goal, a love that lasts. And that's what makes this pair so fascinating. Their differences are not signs of incompatibility, they're the ingredients of a love story that is anything but shallow. It's complex, rich, and layered like a vintage wine, something that only gets better with time and care. They will challenge each other. Leo will push Taurus to live more outwardly, to express more, to take up space emotionally and romantically. He will try to melt her caution with passion, and sometimes, he'll succeed in ways neither expected. Taurus, in turn, will ground Leo. She will slow him down when he burns too quickly. She will teach him the power of patience, presence, and persistence. Her love will be the earth beneath his fire, unshakable, reliable, deeply real. This isn't a relationship that thrives on ease, it thrives on commitment. Not just commitment to each other, but to understanding each other. That means Leo learning that silence isn't rejection, it's reflection. And Taurus learning that emotion isn't chaos, it's connection. It means showing up for the hard conversations, adjusting to each other's rhythms, and never mistaking difference for distance. The challenges? Oh, they'll come. Leo might feel emotionally starved if Taurus doesn't express admiration or praise often enough. Taurus might feel emotionally flooded if Leo's intensity doesn't leave room for stillness. They may clash over values, pace, or emotional expression. But beneath the tension, if both are invested, lies something unbreakable, mutual respect. And once they decide that they're on the same team, not opposing forces, the relationship becomes a fortress. They build slowly, but they build strong. What starts with friction can become deep fusion. What begins as misalignment can evolve into balance. Taurus's steadiness teaches Leo that love doesn't always need fireworks to be real. Leo's light teaches Taurus that safety doesn't have to come at the cost of passion. Together, they learn how to stretch without breaking, to bend without bending backward, to love through, not around, their differences. Theirs is a connection made not in ideal conditions, but in earned intimacy. The kind of bond that survives ego battles, emotional misunderstandings, and external pressures because both partners are willing to fight for the good. And when they do that, when they fight not with each other but for each other, they create something rare. So can Leo and Taurus make it work? Can a fire sign who lives to be adored and an earth sign who loves through action create lasting happiness? Yes, but But not because it's easy. Because it's worth it. It takes patience. Real, everyday patience. It takes passion, not just in bed or in grand gestures, but in the way they show up, again and again, when it would be easier to walk away. And it takes emotional growth, a willingness to evolve not just as individuals, but as partners walking a shared path. But when it all aligns, when Leo's fire is stoked by Taurus's warmth, not extinguished by her caution, and when Taurus's roots are nourished by Leo's attention, not scorched by his demands, they create a love that's not just sustainable, but legendary. A love full of sensuality and steadiness, drama and devotion, power and peace. A love that is not made by the stars, but guided by them, day by day, choice by choice, heart by heart. Yes, absolutely yes. Love stories like these deserve to be understood, not judged. If you enjoyed this deep dive into zodiac chemistry, stick around. Like the video, hit that subscribe button, and check out more cosmic compatibility breakdowns right here on the channel. And don't forget, love might be written in the stars, but how you read the map is entirely up to you.